Hello, I hope you've had a chance to read the readings. If you haven't, they're on the website. Ezekiel, Romans 8 and St John's account the raising of Lazarus. We are living with renewed interest in the topic of death and resurrection. You might describe our society as one in which we work pretty hard to push off notions of mortality for ourselves and those we love, and deal with them ultimately only when pressed, and then find ourselves without the equipment emotionally, spiritually, and in ourselves to deal with that grand reality as it comes upon us, and our delusion of transcending the very forces of nature and God's self are shattered, at least temporarily, at least for a moment, and we grieve. So with all that death around us now, and with all that suffering, with all the beauty of human kindness and compassion demonstrated by medics around the world, and by the confusion and selfishness and general silliness of so many people, humanity is pretty well on display, from literally the sublime to the ridiculous. And in Easter, in our Lenten journey towards Easter, we are asked as Christians to connect again with what resurrection means, to connect again with what is this eternity to which we are called. And that is sometimes turned into a fairly trivial response, and that is sometimes where religion fits into the general opiate of the masses idea of just offering a palliative right at the end when everything else has run out. That really isn't the Christian faith, but it is the faith that some people feel Christians have. And it is from time to time the way Christians actually live out their faith. But we are asked to live with God now, not to wait until we've died, but to live with God now. We are invited to the kingdom now. It is very near. And Jesus spends his entire ministry time talking about that and bringing that close, and the healing and the wholeness that comes with it. So these readings are helping us to really focus on that, and it is so timely. This year, above all years, we might focus on the readings and focus on the process of entering into the Easter mystery in a new way, much more engaged, much more real, with real traction for our real lives. So Ezekiel is talking about God asking Ezekiel to prophesy to what is dry and what looks dead, what looks absolutely hopeless, and breathe into it life. So the encouragement for us is to look around for those dry things in ourselves, often our creativity, sometimes our love and care and compassion, and sometimes, very importantly, our spiritual life, our life with God, the places that are dry and dull, to breathe God's life into them. Paul argues what looks like a very Platonic argument. When you die, that is because you have sinned, that death comes with sin. He's not suggesting, as he's been misrepresented, to say that you will be punished and you will die because you have sinned, but rather that you can't live properly, you can't live like aliveness. You are just like bones unless you live in God. And he talks about righteousness. So we're looking for that life in God that keeps us full of life and breath and godliness in the eternal present now. In John's Gospel, with the raising of Lazarus, we see the challenge the challenge that Jesus turns up late. I want to deal with that in the next short clip, and deliberately does that. And the challenge that Lazarus is raised, but something's happened. He died. The tomb was smelly, and he is bound for rigor mortis, as Jesus tells them to unbind him and set him free, as God tells Moses to tell Pharaoh, set my people free. So in that account, as in all of John's Gospel, we are being asked to engage with events that happen in the present moment altogether. In fact, John's Gospel particularly is not laying out a strong, long line narrative, a sort of history and then narrative, although, of course, there are elements of that. He's always asking us to stay in an eternal present moment. And this is one of those very key events where the eternal present moment is there, with this death stalking around and fear and strong emotions reacting. And Martha and Mary are asked to confront their understanding of God's presence, purpose and eternity in the moment when they have lost their brother and all seems lost.